As the day faded into night over the moon of Koliath, only the faintest shimmers of his star's rays could be seen over a nearby clearing. The kind where shadows stretched long and every sound seemed louder in the absence of light. In this clearing, a group of men sat behind the cover of a natural rock formation, welcoming the day's dying breath for a moment of welcome respite. The two largest figures among them lingered by the crackling of a low fire. The first and far larger of the two adhered to the name of Dozer, an enormous and hulking Ogryn, the Inquisitor's own bodyguard. The light of the campfire illuminated his massive frame as he ran an oiled cloth along the twin barrels of his heavy stubber in an effort to clean his prized weapon, grunting in heavy breaths as he did. Across from him was Max Havoc, a scarred and broad-shouldered Catachan sergeant. His posture, though seemingly relaxed, betrayed the coiled readiness of a predator, with the kind of rehearsed tension one would only get from countless nights where one sleeps with one eye open. The cigar was smoldering between his teeth as he slowly ran a heavily used whetstone along the edge of his knife, a Catachan fang, smoke billowing up into the air. The rest of their squad murmured around a second campfire, their conversations hushed and distant, leaving room for others to rest and finally have some sleep.
Why are we not back on the ship yet? The mission's done. Should have been back already.
Easy, big guy. You're not enjoying this fresh air as a small taste of freedom? We can report in tomorrow. And besides, our job's done here. We've earned the rest.
I have important duty as bodyguard. If I am here, I cannot do that.
Huh. Bodyguard for the Inquisitor herself. So I heard. By all the saints, I'd guard her body too, all night long.
Sergeant, don't go there.
I go where I please, and I please where I go.
Your jokes are going to get you killed. I do not like them.
Hey, lighten up, will ya? It's all just jokes, like you said. Gotta take our mind off of things now and then.
You shouldn't make fun of her. Me, I'm loyal. I knew her when she was still a commissar in the guard. Served together. Tougher than the steel of my boots. But you're tough. But you're all muscle and no brains.
Really? Look who's talking.
Why are you even with the Inquisition? What makes you so special that you got picked for this?
You're kidding, right? I didn't have a choice. It was join or die.
Max's eyes caught the firelight. His smirk fades as memory takes hold, reminiscing on his first encounter with the Inquisitor. lights on the ceiling hum with the drone of ancient artifice. If one were quiet enough, one could almost feel the vibrations of the massive engines of the Inquisitorial light cruiser, the Koliath.
Did you feel that lurch?
Be glad it was just turbulence.
A reminder, Deck 17 is under maintenance. The Emperor protects.
I know the whole was called fateful protein.
Contingency has been chanting over the cogitators for 3 days straight.
Vast and sprawling, the entire vessel was like a floating cathedral. Its wealth of gold and white marble were a stark contrast with the blackened steel of bulkheads, hulls, and other structural components. All in the typical dark Gothic style of the Imperium. Cherubs flew freely within the halls, servitors did their usual menial tasks, and an almost unending tide of personnel, maintenance workers, scholars, and inquisitorial agents roamed its many halls. Max recalled all of the detail vividly. He was not bound while he was being led, but when the vast halls turned to corridors, and eventually a small room, he did start to get worried. The questioning chamber was bare, despite its many decorative embellishments on the walls, and a single servo skull that fluttered in place, ready to record during the upcoming session. A single table, 3 chairs, and a very impatient guardsman were all that was left in the room. Max felt oddly resigned to his fate, whatever it may have been at that moment. But the waiting was what bothered him the most. Sometime later, Sergeant Havoc was joined by 2 individuals, a grizzled and veteran-looking man with a teal flak jacket and a brown greatcoat, as well as a tall woman in full military dress, bearing the unmistakable mark of the Inquisition.
Oh, shit.
For a brief moment, Max studied her. She looked taller, stronger even, than most Catachan women, with plentiful curves and a bosom that would make even the most pious of cardinals blush. She wore a gold-plated and armored bodice underneath her blue-hued greatcoat. Her crimson-red hair, hanging over the side of her face, and barely covered her tanned skin and greenish eyes. And on her head sat a red officer's cap of a commissar. He had almost forgotten who and where he was, as she stood leaning against the wall, overseeing the questioning in person.
Holy throne.
If you're quite finished. Max Havoc, Catachan native, Sergeant of the 302nd Catachan Regiment. Is that correct?
Good old 302s.
When we first responded to the distress beacon at the Falstaff penal station on the asteroid belt of Norbus Zeta 5, we found nothing but corpses. The Arbites stationed there were all found dead. The inmates, the staff, menials, scribes, even the damned servitors, a little over 2,000 souls, all gone. The official story is that the station rebelled into a riot. The Arbites forces valiantly stood their ground to the last, only to finally succumb to the inmates' sheer numbers. And as a final act of selfless bravery, the Arbites pressurized the station, killing all within. But that's not what really happened, was it? We found traces of heretical activity, sacrifices, torture, and worse. The place was a damn madhouse. Imagine our surprise then, when we found you, alone, amidst a few dozen dead inmates. The sole survivor of Falstaff Penal Station. You were found with only a knife, spent shell casings, a pair of pants, and smoking a contraband cigar. Care to explain yourself, guardsman?
Not really. I never liked those guys anyways.
How'd you even end up in Falstaff, hmm? Let's see. Says here that among your charges were disorderly conduct, disobedience, and assaulting a superior officer. I was in the guard too, and I'm familiar with the Catachan regiments, so I can overlook some of it. But wasn't it your duty to fight for the Imperium and to obey orders?
It still is.
Then why did you refuse your orders? Why'd you strike your superior officer?
Incompetence.
For a brief moment, the room fell silent.
Me, I'm Catachan. I'm all guard, and a mother-loving son of mankind. We all were. We would gladly die for the Emperor and do our duties. We're Death Worlders. We've seen things that would make a man scream himself to sleep. And we call that Tuesday. Hell, I'll personally kill off any alien bastard you point me at. And any man who doubts that can go to hell. But our captain? He was soft. Some hive worker from the Schola, born with a silver spoon in his mouth. His idea of duty was throwing away the lives of his men as if they were nothing, on fool's errands, with no supplies, no support, and without damned results. He even kept us in the blast zone of our own ordnance, shelling our positions day in and day out, because according to him, it was the most tactically advantageous position on the field, and he hadn't been given any orders saying otherwise. And when we finally spoke up about it, he dared to claim we weren't fit for the guard, said he'd have us all executed for insubordination. So, I did what any self-respecting son of Catachan would do. I clocked him out cold. Prissy bastard. Pretty sure I broke his jaw.
It's a damn miracle then, that you wasn't shot on the spot.
Yeah, I just figured the brass knew I was in the right. They never admit it though. Can't afford to lose face.
About faces, why do you insist on wearing those shades at all hours of the day, including indoors?
Why do you wear a mustache?
Right.
Regardless, you have seen the enemy's ways. You will not be allowed to return to a penal colony. But you may still prove useful. We shall have to probe you further.
Whoa, probing. Lady, Max Havoc is an exits-only kind of guy. Though I wouldn't mind returning the favor.
This should prove interesting.
Yep, She probed me for days, but not in the fun kind of way. There was an ungodly amount of questions and talking involved, and not enough foreplay.
Ha! Sounds like you deserved it.
What can I say? I'm a people pleaser.
Dozer watched as Max took out another cigar and leaned over to offer it to him.
Well, what are you waiting for? Sanguinala? Take the damn thing.
I've never had one before. And why are you giving it to me?
If you hadn't ripped that one guy's head off, I reckon I wouldn't even be here right now. Don't think I didn't notice, big man. So here, my last stogie. Enjoy it.
So, we're just going to be friends now? Just like that?
I don't see why not. Figure we can watch each other's backs out there. You have mine, and I have yours.
Sounds fair.
A buzzing hum suddenly breathed life into the squad's Vox apparatus.
Squad Veritas, acknowledge. This is Valkyrie 1 en route from the Koliath. We have picked up your signal and determined your coordinates. Coming in for extraction. ETA in 20 minutes. Please confirm.
Well, so much for vacation. You may want to hold on to that stogie for now. Alright, you slackers. You heard the man. Pick up your gear. Our ride's here in 20.